was it that you actually sat in that?
50 years ago.
50 years ago?
Almost to, you know, it was in August.
And your father wouldn't let you open it up?
Well, you know, really, Chrysler, it was too valuable for me. I just drove it a little bit on the main track at the Chelsea Proving Ground, and they were running coast down tests.
Right.
Yep. And that was their aerodynamic testing that Chrysler did. Ghia had already done their testing on a almost a full-size model. They ran the ink blot, so-called ink blot test in the Fiat aerodynamic in their wind tunnel.
How does the car feel after 50 years?
You know, impressive. It is thin spoke steering wheel, which gives you the idea that everything else is so much bigger. But this car is not that big overall when it gets right down to it. This is a car that could be construed as what automobiles ought to look like today. Now, naturally, it's too big, and it influenced the whole industry to have the cars that we have today from a wedge shape standpoint, and from a proper aerodynamic standpoint. There's a great deal of responsibility for having to be the way it is. It's the epitome of my father's philosophy, of his design philosophy.
Was this one of his favorite designs?
Oh, absolutely, because it represented what he was trying to do until he put out the 1957 Chrysler line. He had started to do model on his own in the back room, which he always did, so he could get out of meetings. And so he started to model a very similar shape to this and to cram down Chrysler's throat and make him get with it, and especially as an antithesis of what GM was doing in those days and Ford with their slab-sided pile on the chrome looks. And he wanted cars to be clean and simple, aerodynamic. He had even tested 47 Studebaker design in the wind tunnel at the University of Michigan.
What do you think about those 4 bucket seats? I think he was early with that.
That, of course, was going on sports cars and whatnot, and it was a great deal with the influence of European cars. But you know, it became, you know, everybody, especially when the horsepower race started with the Hemi and everything, idea to have a real 4-seater car, and this represents that in spades. It's a natural for the car. So without having a real crammed backs, 2 seats too, and he wanted full leg room, and he wanted to stick to very good human factors. And so this car does it. With the top up is the way it tested best.
That's Joe Bortz over here. Virgil Exner Jr. We're having a great time. And Diablo is looking good to both of us. It's so aerodynamic.
And it follows the basic element. And without, you know, today we have headlight covers that you could do any kind of headlight design today. In those days, you had to stick with the full diameter headlights as well as any kind of fog lights or whatnot. And it was, you had restrictions that this is nicely integrated.
You know, it's so great the way they use the name Diablo and then the emblems throughout the car. It just really makes it a great piece.
Continuity of design, it's called, to really design, make the details subjective to the overall picture.